The Florida Department of Environmental Protection is the Florida government agency charged with environmental protection. It is under the nominal control of the governor. History. By the mid-1960s, when the federal government was becoming more and more involved in initiatives designed to protect the country's environmental interests, Florida had four agencies involved with environmental protection: the Florida Board of Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund, the Department of Health, Florida Department of Natural Resources, and Game and Freshwater Fish Commission. In the late 1960s, the Florida Department of Air and Water Pollution Control was created under Governor Claude R. Kirk, Jr. Most staff were being taken from the Bureau of Sanitary Engineering of the State Department of Health. The name of the new agency was simplified to the Florida Department of Pollution Control. In the mid-1970s, the Florida Department of Environmental Regulation was created from the Department of Pollution Control and portions of the Board of Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund and the Florida Department of Natural Resources. This revised agency was entrusted with the quality of the state's air and water, and with making major land management decisions, primarily related to shorelines and wetlands. The FDER began supervising 5 water management districts that had been established in 1972 under Chapter 373 of Florida statutes to control all freshwater located in the state: the Suwannee River Water Management District, St. Johns River Water Management District, Southwest Florida Water Management District, South Florida Water Management District, and Northwest Florida Water Management District. By 1992, it was the nation's third largest such state agency, with 1,500 employees and a budget of some $650 million. In the mid-1990s, the state merged the DARE with the substantially larger Department of Natural Resources, creating the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. In 2004, it started the Southeast Florida Coral Reef Initiative, 6 years after a presidential order had instructed 7 states with reefs to develop roadmaps of conservation. During the period from 2000 to 2005, the department functioned with a staff of about 3,600 employees, and its annual budget averaged $1.9 billion. In 2011, DEP suspended its wetlands director after she refused to approve a permit to a failed effort to sell off surplus parkland and Everglades. Scientists' leading positions have been filled by prior consultants for developers and polluting industries in revolving door. The regulatory climate has changed from prosecuting violations to helping industry avoid fines. Secretaries: the following have been secretaries of the DEP: Herschel Vineyard Jr., 2011-present. Functions and responsibilities. In its responsibilities for the state's natural environment, the department divides its function into 3 areas. As regulatory agency, it regulates air pollution, water pollution, the use of wetlands and shorelines, and the siting of hazardous waste facilities, power plants, and natural gas pipeline. It manages more than 10,000 acres of state lands, including Florida state parks and recreation areas, greenways, trails, wildlife management areas, and restores the environmental quality of the Everglades. DEP oversees the Florida Reef System, from Biscayne National Park in Miami-Dade County to the St. Lucie Inlet in Martin County, with its Coral Reef Conservation Program. As planning agency, it surveys the state's geological resources, oversees the management of water resources by the water management districts, controls invasive species, particularly aquatic plants, monitors the environmental quality of the state, and oversees the reclamation of mined lands. Global warming. A 1998 presidential executive order created the U.S. Coral Reef Task Force. In 2002, Florida determined how to implement this locally. After a meeting in 2002, the FDEP and the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission formed a team of interagency marine resource professionals of all levels of U.S. government, of scientists and other stakeholders. From May to November 2003, the Southeast Florida Coral Reef Initiative team developed the local action strategy. In 2009, the FDEP's Coral Reef Conservation Program prepared a climate change action plan for the Florida Reef System 2010 to 2015, which was in sync with the federal NOAA Coral Reef Conservation Program goals and AMP objectives 2010 to 2015. After Governor Scott took office in 2011, DEP employees were informed by regional administrators not to use the terms climate change, global warming or sustainability in publications or educational materials, because the DEP was the governor's agency. The Florida Oceans and Coastal Council's annual research plan 2014-15 avoided the term climate change and used climate drivers and climate-driven changes instead. Some critical employees were terminated or gave the notice during that time. Until 2015, the term sea level rise was not permitted and had to be replaced by the term nuisance flooding. Budget and staff. For the departments, the Office of Inspector General annual report from fiscal year 2011-2012, the DEP had more than 4,176 employees. Florida Governor Rick Scott recommended to decrease DEP's FY 2015-16 budget by about $29 million to $1,535,984,614 compared to actual FY 2014-15 budget. His plan funded 2,939.5 positions, which is 155 positions less than the prior year. Organization. In December 2014, John Stevenson, a DEP lawyer, was appointed. As of 2006, the department divided itself into the following 13 offices based on function, all operating primarily out of Tallahassee: Administrative Services, Air Resource Management, Coastal and Aquatic Managed Areas, General Counsel, Greenways and Trails, Law Enforcement, Office of the Secretary, Parks and Recreation, Resource Assessment Management, Siting, State Lands, Waste Management, Water Resource Management. The FDEP divides the state into 6 districts with the following 6 district offices: Central District, Northeast District, Northwest District, South District, Southeast District and Southwest District.